Okay, great. So it's really exciting to be here with Kenny Endo to record this podcast, and we're going to talk a little bit about Taiko and about Kenny. Kenny is going to be leading workshops at the first ever Scottish Taiko Festival, and he's also going to be performing a concert, and he's going to be involved as well in the community concert and everything going on in the festival. So it's super, super exciting to have him here with us today. And we're just going to have a little chat, get to know Kenny a little bit better. And yeah, so Kenny, do you mind introducing yourself to maybe people that don't necessarily know who you are, or maybe people who are not Taiko fans even? Just tell us a little bit about yourself, about your backgrounds.
Thank you very much. My name is Kenny Endo, and I play taiko, which is Japanese drums. I've been involved in this art form for about 48 years. And these drums are come from many different types of music in Japan. Actually, actually having some utilitarian purposes, such as drumming to bring rain in times of drought, or warning a village of a fire. It actually had those kind of purposes, but also used in folk music, in court music, festival music, and in the theater. And a real popular form called kumidaiko, which is ensemble drumming, is very popular not only in Japan but all over the world. So I'm totally excited to be part of this Scottish Taiko Festival, because it's the first one of its kind in the country. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, and it's a real honor to to have you. It's one of those situations where we thought, okay, we're gonna make this project happen. Who can we invite? Well, Kenny Endo would be ideal. Let's ask him. And lo and behold, Kenny Endo accepted our invitation. So super excited about it. So Kenny, can you tell us a little bit about when did you first encounter taiko? So you said you've been drumming, you've been playing taiko for 48 years. When did you start? Where did you start?
Yeah, I actually before I played taiko, I played Western percussion and drums from elementary school. But in 1973, I actually saw a performance by the San Francisco Taiko Dojo. And this was when I was a college student. And at that time, there were only three groups outside of Japan, and they were all in California. And the San Francisco Taiko Dojo was led by Sensei Seiichi Tanaka, who formed the very first taiko group outside of Japan. And when I saw this performance, I was totally, it was amazing. I had no idea what it was going to be like. It was the sound, which you could not only hear with your ears, but you could feel it, the vibration all over your body. And it was the movement and the rhythms. And as soon as I saw that, I said, "Oh, I got to do that." So it wasn't. It took me a couple years to finish school, and but I started playing in 1975 with a group called Kinara Taiko in Los Angeles, based out of a temple called Senshin Buddhist Temple, and at that time they were only playing during the summer Obon season. And so they told me about this dojo or a school in San Francisco led by Tanaka Sensei. And so I eventually, when I graduated from college, moved there and studied with him intensively for about 5 years. And then decided to go to Japan, because that's, to me, was the roots of where everything came from. And originally was going to stay in Japan for a year. But as soon as I got to Tokyo and started studying some of the older forms, such as the music from the Kabuki theater or the Tokyo festival music, I realized this was going to take a long time. So I ended up staying 10 years in Japan.
Wow.
Even that wasn't enough, but it was a great time to be there. It was during the 80s.
Hmm. And um, so when you went to Japan, had you already met Shizuku? Um,
Yes, yes.
so yeah, I was thinking about this earlier, and I've got three small children, and I wanted to ask you how easy or how difficult was it for you to, be exploring this new art form and trying to make it as a professional drummer and raising a family at the same time? Was it as it how was it? Was it difficult? Was it easy? Was it challenging?
It always was a challenge, and it still is a challenge. um, a lot of times I remember because we both Chizuko plays taiko as well,
Hmm.
and she teaches, she composes. We have uh, when we first got to Hawaii in 1990, our kids were like 1 and 3 years old. So and we had no real support. So a lot of times we would go to taiko practice, and they would just go with us.
Hmm.
So I think the kids of parents who play taiko, they either love taiko or they hate taiko. It's
And
one or the other. But and then just financially, it's always a struggle to
Mhm.
making a living as a musician. If you're not part of an organization like a symphony or an established musical group, taiko in itself is in the United States, is a pretty obscure way of making a living. So we've had to be creative about teaching classes or doing performances. But fortunately, in Hawaii, there's a big interest in Japanese culture and in taiko. So uh, we've uh, we've been fortunate.
Yeah, interesting you should say that because a lot of your music has got fusion from. It's not just Japanese, is it? There's fusion from all sorts of things, from Hawaiian rhythms and Tahitian and samba and jazz and funk, and so tell us a little bit about that. Is that something that's important for you, or how does the creative process work?
Yeah, I grew up before I played taiko, I played drum set, and I still do that once in a while. But um, so I had a lot of influences in my musical upbringing, growing up in the United States. And when I went to Japan, I kind of dropped playing the drum set, and I just wanted to immerse myself in Japanese music, and discovered this world of the music from the kabuki theater. Ended up actually getting my natori, which is a license to teach, as well as um, a performing name, and also studied the Festival of Music of Tokyo, which is called Edo Bayashi. And the music it was so fascinating. And it had a lot of musical um, depth to it that I found really, really, really fascinating. Um, so when I did start composing, I think a lot of the background that I have growing up in the United States would just naturally come out. I mean, of course, I love Japanese traditional music and taiko, but I also love Brazilian music or Indonesian music or uh, rock or jazz, classical music. I love all types of music. So um, when I started composing, those elements would just naturally be part of the music. And as a Japanese American, um, you have you have both of those influences
Hmm.
of Western culture and the culture that your ancestors came from. So it just became a natural part of the creative process for me.
Yeah, yeah, That's really cool. That's really interesting. Making music that it's your music. It's a reflection of who you are, I suppose. And what that you've played with so many people, with so many big names. Not just in the taiko world, but outside the taiko world. You've opened for the Who. You've done. You played with Prince, and you've played with so many famous musicians. Have you ever been in a situation where you thought, "Oh my goodness, I can't believe I'm here. I'm such a fan of these musician or whoever it might happen to be." Did that ever happen to you?
Yeah, I remember when we were doing the film score for it's a old a movie called Apocalypse Now,
Yes.
which was made directed by Francis Ford Coppola, and Mickey Hart, who is the drummer for the Grateful Dead, gathered a lot of percussionists into the Grateful Dead studio, and there was just some amazing percussionists from all over. And I met a Brazilian percussionist named Ayrton Moreira.
Uh-huh.
He is an amazing percussionist, and we became friends, and we collaborated since that time. So just having those opportunities is, has been a really great thing. I remember the singer Bobby McFerrin when he came to Honolulu. Um, he asked me to play a impromptu duet with him. So it was vocals and taiko, and that was just totally improvised. He didn't even want to talk about what we're going to do. We just but that was a really great experience.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've been fortunate to meet some really great musicians and be able to work with them. Um,
Yeah, that's amazing. And have you ever worked with any Scottish musicians, or have you ever played in Scotland in all these years?
no, this will be my first time to perform in Scotland,
Great.
and I'm looking forward to that. One of the things I mentioned before is that when I was in high school, our high school had a Scottish theme, and so our even the football team was called the Highlanders. All the sports teams
Brilliant.
were called the Highlanders, and our marching band we wore a kilt. I played drums in the marching band, and we wore a kilt. So there is some type of connection I've had with Scotland for many years.
It was meant to happen at some point. It only took you 48 years, Kenny, but it's happening finally. That's amazing. That's brilliant. So, well, talking about the Scottish Taiko Festival, then can you tell us a little bit about what you're going to be doing, the workshops you're going to be delivering, what they are about, just for people in case people don't know.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this festival. I'm going to be introducing a piece I wrote called Odaiko Kakeai Kihon Kyoku, which it's just a basic Odaiko piece, a call and response piece. And hopefully we'll be doing that at the community concert on Sunday. Um, and then in the concert itself, I'm going to be collaborating with other Scottish musicians, not only taiko players, but people who play things such as piano, vocals, clarinet, different wind instruments, guitar, bass, and really looking forward to that. I always enjoy working with musicians from many different places. I'm going to be introducing a piece which came from Tokyo called Yodan Uchi, and looking forward to that. Just talking about the basics of that, uh, of, of, of being able to play that piece and how to hit that style of drumming, which is an angle. It's a specific style to the Tokyo region. Um, and just meeting the people in Scotland and the people who play taiko, it's just fascinating how this art form has grown in the
Mm,
last 50 years.
yeah.
When I started, there was only 3 groups outside of Japan. Now there's hundreds of groups in North America, in South America, in Australia, in Europe, and in Asia. So it's really fascinating to see how it's grown, and it's very exciting to see the different forms that it takes.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, talking about a little bit about that. So, so many groups popping up all over the world, and so much enthusiasm, and so many people connecting to taiko, and so many people wanting to take it a little bit further, or take it a little bit more serious. Do you have any advice you'd be able to give someone who wants to get really good at it, or who really loves or enjoys taiko? What advice would you give to someone, um,
Well,
in general?
yeah, I would say that they should study as much uh, about the roots of taiko, and that's really in the traditional music in Japan. I always say that that tradition is a basis for any kind of innovation you might do. So you have to have a real strong base. I always tell people that when they're building their own career, they have to have a strong foundation. It could be in jazz, it could be in Japanese classical music or Western classical music, or even in martial arts or dance or theater.
Mm,
Having those kind of roots that it's like having a building and having a very strong foundation. So if the foundation is really solid, you can build any kind of structure on top of it, and it will be fine. So I feel like doing a lot of studying, and then your own practicing as well. I try to practice every day, um, and try to learn as much as you can about all different types of music, and also be open to working with different types of artists and musicians. So there's a lot of aspects of it. I'm involved in the performing aspects, the composing aspects, and the teaching aspects, and just doing all of that is a lot in
mm.
itself. But so I'm still learning. Even after close to 50 years, I always say there's a saying in Japanese, "Kiriganai," which means there's no end to this. So I always feel that there's room to improve and things to learn.
Yeah, great. Amazing advice. Thanks, Kenny. So you're coming to Scotland, and we wanted, and you're going to be giving us so much. So we wanted to do the same for you as well. So we wanted to give you something to help you on your trip when you come over to Scotland. So we wanted to teach you some Scottish just to finish off this podcast. So the so we're just going to teach you a few short sentences. The first one, which you'll need, and is a very common sentence, is "pure dead brilliant man." Pure dead
Say
brilliant
that
man.
again.
Pure dead brilliant man.
Peter the Brilliant Man.
Pure dead brilliant man.
Peter the Brilliant Man. What does
Yeah,
that mean?
it just means pure dead brilliant man. So it just
I
means
see.
that's excellence. That's so good. That's what people are going to say when they come to the Kenny Endo concert, and they go, "That was pure dead brilliant, man. That was amazing." So when
Wow.
something's really good, you say it's pure dead brilliant, man. Someone
Wow.
serves you breakfast at your B&B and it's really nice. You say, "Oh, it's pure dead brilliant, man." Okay, so
Wow.
so that's the first one. The second one means the same thing, and it's pure gallus. Gallus, pure gallus. So
Pure
that's just,
Dallas.
yeah, it just means most excellent.
Wow. That's good to know.
Okay, next one is a little bit tricky. Probably the least useful of all the sentences we're going to teach you, but let's try it. It's a bra brich munlich nicht de nicht. I'll say it again, right? This is also new to me because English is not my first language. Um, it's a bra bricht munlich nicht de nicht.
Wow.
It just means it's a brilliant moonlight night tonight.
Wow. Great. I
Um,
actually have a solo piece in the concert that I'm probably gonna do called Moon Wind.
Say that again.
It's a solo Odaiko piece called Moon Wind.
Moonwind. Oh, right. Moonwind. Moonwind. Great. Well, we can maybe fit that into that somehow. Or maybe that's what people are going to say when they hear your piece. Yeah, that's great. And we've got one more sentence for you, Kenny. Okay. This is the most important of all.
Okay.
Okay. And this is a sentence you have to, not a sentence, but two words you have to remember for the Ceilidh. So you're going to finish the festival with the Scottish Ceilidh, which is basically traditional Scottish songs and traditional dancing, where everybody has a great time. And this is this expression is Slangevar. So this is a Gaelic
Slangevar.
Slangevar. Yeah, it's a Gaelic expression. And it's just something you say, and it's something like to your health. It's just something you say when you toast a glass.
Oh,
So instead of cheers or ching ching, you say Slangevar. So this is the most important.
Slangevar.
Slangevar, yeah,
Great.
a Scottish Gaelic. And I'll test you on a Ceilidh to see if you still remember.
So, is traditional language still quite common in Scotland?
In the Isles and under north of Scotland, some people, some communities still speak it. There's very few
Nice.
people. There's very few people in Scotland that still speak it as a first language. It's most common in the Isles, in the Scottish Isles. So not so
I
much in the mainland, and not so much far down. But there are, there's lots of words and expressions still from Gaelic,
mhm.
like Gallus
Nice.
or
Nice.
Slangevar, Slunge, just for short, that
Yeah,
people still use commonly. Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
great.
So that's great. Thank you so much for your time, Kenny. Thank you so much for your time talking to us in this podcast and telling us a little bit about yourself and what you're going to do at the festival. And above all, thank you so much for accepting our invitation to come to Scotland. I honestly cannot say how excited we are. And it really is it really is a privilege to have you, and it really is a privilege to have you for the very first festival as well. We can't think of anybody better to have. So thank you so much,
Thank you
and
so much.
we'll see you in April.
Yeah, looking forward to it. And thank you so much for your hard work organizing this event.
Our
Really
pleasure.
looking forward to it.
Our pleasure. And we'll see you soon.
Okay.